quick question. How do you determine the grain direction when you glue up that heel block to is it in the same orientation as the neck?
Well, first of all, I want the grain, this is probably 30 degrees off of perfectly vertical, which is totally fine, okay? And anything, I would say, depends upon the guitar, but on a shorter scale guitar with a very small body, I wouldn't be concerned about having grain that went pretty close to 45 degrees. Now, I certainly wouldn't go any more than that.
Right.
If it goes more than that, I'm using the block in the wrong orientation. I can just flip it 90 degrees and it'll be better. But what I would hope for in the perfect world would be grain that goes just straight down, okay? And I'm never going to see that, but if it's off ever so slightly, I would want to make sure that looking at the end grain here, it would be going like this, as opposed to like this. If it's a right-handed guitar, or a left-handed guitar, I'd reverse that. And it's simply that I want my paring chisel, if you're doing it with that methodology, to be not tempted to dive in. Because of if you look at the curvature, this is what we use, okay? You can see the lines that I've scribed on there. It's a nice gentle curve, and it's done for aesthetics as much as anything else. I don't want to have to fight with the grain, okay? I brought two rasps, okay? There's essentially a coarse and a fine, and I've got, I don't know, a half a dozen other rasps. Some of them they could be a farrier's rasp practically, and the teeth are like 1/8 of an inch big. And you could just, hog through something like this really, really fast if you wanted to. And I would advocate, just because, I haven't carved necks for, I don't know, I'm looking at 17 years, I haven't carved a neck with a chisel. It's just not the way to go for me, because I'm starting from this point. Okay? Okay. So we come to tools, and this is a tool that, rasps, they pretty much disappeared for close to 20 years. The Nicholson company down in Rhode Island used to make great rasps and files, and they still do, but their catalog is probably 5% of what it was 50 years ago. And I think they only make 2 rasps now. It's kind of sad. These, I think, come from Hungary. Stu Mack sells them.
Are those the hand
I
cut
love them.
brass?
They are hand cut, and hand cut is a good thing. Most of the tools you can buy like this are they're done with a machine, and consequently they're much less expensive. They can be sharp and work very well. The problem is when the machine does it, it doesn't do them randomly. And if you go across a piece of wood, you'll find that you get this nice row of furrows, like Farmer Brown just came by and plowed it with his tractor, and that's not a good thing. So these things, I think a pair of these things, a fine and a coarse, costs like 75 or 80 bucks now, something like that. They are not the hardest things in the world. I go through a pair of them in somewhere 2 to 3 years. They just begin to get dull enough so that this is not working like it used to, or like it ought to. So I'd replace them. The fact that you have a round on one side and a flat on the other is very, very useful. You'll watch me, I don't even think about it. I'll just turn the rasp over for doing a particular movement. It's totally unconscious at this point. The taper of them is also very advantageous. I don't like handles on these things. They get in the way for me. They make the thing more cumbersome. I've used them, putting handles on them. Most of my files in the shop, larger things like that, I put a handle on, but these I do not. I carve a neck almost exclusively with this. When I get to the very tail end of it, I use an 8-inch half-round bastard file. That's pretty much it. It's that, a felt block, and some 80 grit sandpaper. When I get to doing the transition, and I won't be doing that on any of these necks, the transition from the headstock into the running stock, all of these necks, inadvertently, I didn't realize this before I got down here with them, but all of them are going to have headstock binding around the edge of the headstock. And so there's a channel that gets routed in there to accommodate that binding. And if I were to carve this transition, you'd see that it requires me to screw up that very slight surface in there that allows the tracking mill on the little Dremel router to go around and cut that channel evenly. So I won't be doing that, for which I apologize. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go through, we'll probably do a couple, well, we've got an hour before lunch, but I'm gonna do the heel on each of these. I'll just run through each neck from start to finish, okay? And I'm gonna ask everybody, I'll try to think out loud while I'm doing this, but I would urge you to move in and around to watch. Don't be bashful. Scotty won't shoot you if you climb up on the bench to see closer, when you look over my shoulder, whatever, but, right?
Right.
Okay, good. Take off your boots. And please, ask questions. I'm counting on it.